the woman who cried for a miracle. Hannah, when pain meets faith. The prayer that changed history. She was there, on the cold floor of the temple, crying. It was not an ordinary cry. It was a silent cry. Lips moving, tears falling, but no words coming out. The priest looked at her and thought, she is drunk. But she was not drunk. She was broken. Broken by years of waiting, of shame, of humiliation, of pain. Her name was Hannah. And that silent prayer, full of tears and despair, would change the history of Israel. Because from that empty womb, from that shattered soul, from that wounded heart, Samuel would be born, one of the greatest prophets Israel had ever known. This is the story of a woman whom society called cursed, whom her rival called barren, and whom even the priest judged wrongly, but whom God called heard. The invisible cursed weight of barrenness. Hannah was married to Elkanah, a good man, a man who loved her. But there was a problem that consumed Hannah from the inside every single day. She could not have children. In a time when a woman's value was measured by her ability to bear children, Hannah was considered incomplete, cursed, and rejected by God. Each passing month was a new death, a new hope that died, a new cycle of pain. She saw other women pregnant. She saw children playing in the streets. She saw mothers holding their babies. And her womb remained empty. It was not only the desire to be a mother. It was social shame. It was the pitiful looks from other women. It was the whispering when she passed by, "Poor thing, God has closed her womb." As if she had done something wrong. As if she were guilty. As if God were angry with her. And the worst was yet to come. The rival in her own home when the solution becomes torment. Elkanah loved Hannah. But pressured by culture and the need for heirs, he did what was common at the time. He took a second wife. Peninnah. And Peninnah could have children. Many children. The home that should have belonged to Hannah now had another woman. And that woman had what Hannah desired most. Children. Imagine the pain. Waking up every day to the sound of Peninnah's babies crying. Seeing Peninnah breastfeeding, singing to her children, being called mother. While Hannah remained empty. But Peninnah was not satisfied with simply having children. She needed to rub it in Hannah's face. The Bible says that her rival provoked her severely to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. It was not only about having children. It was about humiliating Hannah, reminding her every day of her shame. Day after day, year after year. Psychological torture. And the most painful part? It happened inside her own home. Her place of rest had become her battlefield. The love that did not understand when even the husband cannot comprehend. Elkanah truly loved Hannah. When the family went to the temple for the annual sacrifice, he gave double portions to Hannah, a sign of favor and love. But Peninnah used those moments to intensify the provocation. Even in the holy place, she humiliated Hannah. And Hannah wept and could not eat. The pain was physical. Then Elkanah, with the best intentions but the worst understanding, said, "Hannah, why are you crying? Why won't you eat? Why are you so sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons?" He truly did not understand. He thought his love would be enough, that his affection could fill the emptiness. But it could not. Because it was not only about having a child. It was about dignity. It was about purpose. It was about a deep emptiness that no human love can fill. Elkanah was a good man. But even the best man cannot fully understand a pain he has never lived. And Hannah remained alone in her suffering, loved, but misunderstood. The breaking point when there are no more tears, only prayer. That year, during the sacrifice at Shiloh, something broke inside Hannah. It was not anger. It was not giving up. It was despair transformed into radical faith. She rose from the table, left the food, left the provocations, even left Elkanah, and went straight to the temple. There before the Lord, Hannah did something that would change everything. She prayed. But it was not a beautiful prayer. Not a polite prayer. Not a Sunday morning prayer. It was a prayer of desperation, of anguish, of a shattered soul. The Bible says, "In bitterness of soul, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping greatly." She did not hide her pain from God. She did not pretend she was fine. She did not use pretty words. She poured out everything: the shame, the humiliation, the pain, the emptiness, the despair. And then, in that moment of total brokenness, she made a vow. Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your servant and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give your servant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life. She was not bargaining. She was surrendering. God, if you give me a son, he will not be mine. He will be yours. I will give him back to you. It was a prayer impossible to make without true faith, because she was asking for a son not for herself, but for God. When even the priest judges wrong misunderstood pain. Hannah was so immersed in prayer that she did not realize she was being watched. Eli the priest saw her. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. Tears ran down her face. And Eli, who should have recognized a broken soul, judged wrongly. How long will you be drunk? Put away your wine. Imagine the scene. Hannah, in the most vulnerable moment of her life, being accused of drunkenness by a priest. The woman who could not even eat because of her pain was being accused of drinking too much. But Hannah did not react with anger. She answered with dignity and honesty. No, my lord. I am a woman deeply troubled in spirit. I have not drunk wine or strong drink. I was pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not consider your servant a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. For the first time, someone listened. Eli realized his mistake and then spoke the words Hannah needed to hear. Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him. It was not a guarantee. It was a blessing, a recognition, a validation of her faith. And something extraordinary happened. Hannah stopped crying. The Bible says, then she went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. Nothing had changed yet. Her womb was still empty. Peninnah was still at home. The situation was the same. But Hannah had left her burden with God. And that changed everything. When God answers. The miracle of conception. Elkanah had relations with his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. God remembered Hannah. Not that he had forgotten. But God's time to act had come. Hannah conceived. That womb which society called dead received life. That body which was a cause of shame now carried a miracle. That woman who was called cursed was now pregnant. For 9 months, Hannah carried not just a baby, but a promise. Not just a child, but an answer from God. Each kick in the womb was a declaration. God heard you. Each morning sickness was a reminder. Your prayer was not in vain. Each passing month was a victory. The impossible is happening. And then, at the right time, the baby was born. A boy. Healthy. Perfect. Miraculous. Hannah named him Samuel, which means heard by God or asked of the Lord. Every time she called his name, it was a testimony, God heard me. Finally, after so many years, Hannah was a mother. But the story doesn't end here. Because now came the hardest part, fulfilling the vow. The most difficult sacrifice when you have to give back what you love most. Hannah nursed Samuel, cared for him, rocked him to sleep, heard his first sounds, saw his first steps. Every moment was precious, because she knew he wasn't hers for long. The Bible says that Hannah didn't go up to the temple in the following years. She said to Elkanah, when the boy is weaned, I will take him so that he may appear before the Lord and remain there forever. In that culture, weaning happened around 3 years of age. 3 years. Only 3 years with a son she had waited for so long. 3 years to store memories for a lifetime. 3 years knowing that every hug had an expiration date. How did she do it? How did she not give up on the vow? How did she not say, God, I changed my mind. Let me keep him just a little longer? Because Hannah knew something profound. Samuel wasn't hers. He never was. He was an answer from God. A gift. A miracle. And miracles have purpose. When Samuel was weaned, Hannah did what she had promised. She took him to the temple. To Eli. To the Lord. Imagine the scene. Hannah entering the temple, holding the hand of that small boy. The same temple where she had cried years before. The same place where she had begged for a son. Now she was returning to give this son back. She said to Eli, My Lord, as surely as you live, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. I prayed for this boy, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. Now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be dedicated to the Lord." And she left him there, with Eli, in the temple. Her baby, her miracle, her Samuel. How did she leave that temple without him? How did she return home with empty arms? Because she trusted. Because she knew that God would take better care of him than she ever could. But don't think it didn't hurt. Of course it hurt. She was a mother. The song of a victorious mother. When pain transforms into praise. After delivering Samuel, Hannah didn't cry in despair. She sang. And what a song! One of the most powerful prayers in all the Bible. A song that Mary, mother of Jesus, would echo centuries later. "My heart rejoices in the Lord my horn is lifted high. Now I can laugh at my enemies, for I rejoice in your salvation." She didn't say, "My heart rejoices in Samuel." She said, "My heart rejoices in the Lord." Samuel was the answer, but God was the reason. There is no one holy like the Lord. There is no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. She continued, "The barren woman has borne 7 children, but she who has had many sons pines away." She was prophesying about herself, because God didn't just give her Samuel. After Samuel, Hannah had 5 more children, 3 boys and 2 girls. 6 children in total. The barren became a mother of 6. While Peninnah, who boasted of her fertility, stopped having children. The one who was humiliated was exalted. The one who was provoked was vindicated. The one who cried was consoled. God didn't just answer Hannah's prayer. He compensated her abundantly. Samuel's legacy when your sacrifice changes history. Samuel grew up in the temple, serving God from childhood. And he wasn't just any prophet. He was extraordinary. Samuel was the last judge of Israel, the prophet who anointed Saul as the first king, the prophet who anointed David as king, the man who heard God's voice from childhood, the leader who brought revival to Israel, the powerful intercessor. All because Hannah was faithful to her vow. If Hannah had given up, if she had kept Samuel for herself, if she hadn't fulfilled the promise, Israel wouldn't have had Samuel, wouldn't have had revival, perhaps wouldn't have had David. A mother's sacrifice changed the history of a nation. And more, every year, Hannah would visit Samuel at the temple. And she brought a new tunic that she herself had made. Imagine Hannah sewing that tunic. Each stitch was love. Each thread was longing. Each detail was remembrance. She wasn't with him every day, but she never stopped being a mother. And Eli blessed Hannah and Elkanah, saying, "May the Lord give you children by this woman to take the place of the one she gave to the Lord." And God blessed greatly. Lessons from an impossible story, what Hannah teaches us today. Lesson 1. God sees your pain. Hannah was in a culture that condemned her, a home that humiliated her, a situation that seemed hopeless. But God saw, God heard, God remembered. If you're in pain today, know this: God sees. Your pain is not invisible. Your cry is not silent to Him. Lesson 2. You can be honest with God. Hannah didn't pray with beautiful words. She prayed with desperation, with tears, with brutal honesty. And God answered. You don't need to pretend you're okay with God. He prefers your broken honesty over your perfect religiosity. Lesson 3. God's timing is not yours. Hannah waited years. Years of pain. Years of humiliation. Years of shame. But when God acted, it was at the perfect time. Because Samuel couldn't be born earlier. He had a specific purpose at a specific time. Your wait is not in vain. God is preparing something worth the delay. Lesson 4. Your provocations have an expiration date. Peninnah provoked Hannah for years. But the day came when Hannah laughed last. Those who humiliate you today won't have the last word. God will. Lesson 5. What you give to God, He multiplies. Hannah gave 1 son to God. God gave her 6. She dedicated Samuel. God made him a prophet who changed Israel. What you place in God's hands, He transforms into something greater than you imagined. Lesson 6. Your greatest pain can be your greatest ministry. Hannah's barrenness qualified her to be Samuel's mother. Her pain prepared her for her purpose. What's breaking you today might be what God will use to launch you tomorrow. Final message for the woman who is waiting. Perhaps you're like Hannah. Perhaps you're waiting for something that seems impossible. A child, a marriage, a healing, a job, a restoration, a miracle. And while you wait, you're provoked, humiliated, misunderstood, even judged. This story is for you. God saw Hannah when society despised her. God heard Hannah when even the priest misjudged her. God remembered Hannah when everyone thought she was cursed. And the same God who heard Hannah can hear you. Go to the temple, not the one of stone, but the one of prayer. Pour out your soul. Be honest. Cry if you need to. Scream if necessary. Make your vow. Give your desire to God. Trust in His timing. And then get up. Eat. Leave the sadness behind. Not because everything has changed, but because you left everything with the one who can change everything. And when God answers, and He will answer, don't forget the vow. Don't keep for yourself what God gave you for His glory. Because the miracle isn't just for you. It's through you. To reach others. To change stories. To bring hope. Hannah cried a miracle. And that miracle changed a nation. Your miracle also has a purpose greater than you imagine. Keep waiting. Keep praying. Keep trusting. Because the God who heard Hannah still hears prayers. And He hasn't forgotten you. If this story touched you, leave your like. Share it with that woman who is waiting for her miracle, who is in pain, who needs to know that God hears. Subscribe to the channel for more stories of powerful women from the Bible who overcame against all odds. In the comments, tell me, do you identify with any part of Hannah's story? Which part? May Hannah's God be your God. May the God who heard her cry hear yours. May the God who answered her answer you. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Until the next video. I prayed for this boy, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of Him. 1 Samuel 1 verse 27.